Okay, it is December 15th, and we're here with the Weight Loss Support Group, and I'm here with Lisa today, and we were just talking about how this is a life journey. It's not like you ever really arrive, and I think really that's life in general. You never really arrive at a destination. You're just always looking at new experiments, and you're constantly having new relationships, whether it be with your children or a spouse or siblings or parents or your coworkers. Everything is just always constantly changing, and that's just life. So it's almost like we never really arrive. We just always keep striving to be the kind of person that brings us joy and fulfillment in life. And then we have all those bumps and challenges along the way that we always get to overcome, and it makes life exciting. So the journey that we're talking here about is the relationship with food, and can cause us a lot of stress, self-doubt, but we're looking to turn that around, because if we can have a better relationship with food, that will play out in the other areas of our life. So it says here at the top of our handout today, review and reflection from chapter 6, the metabolic power of thought. And just a couple key points is that we want to feel good about what we're putting in our mouths. So we have been taught, many of us, I would say most of us at a very young age, that when we eat something that's bad for us, that we should feel bad or shame or guilt. And then we have all these this negative input on our nervous system, and then it doesn't do us any favors because it causes problems with our calorie burning efficiency and all that good stuff. So if you can remember a time when you were a young child, before you had all these rules around food, when you ate something that you enjoyed, you didn't have these feelings of guilt and shame around eating it. You enjoyed it. And for me, I can honestly say I started developing probably shame and guilt around eating certain foods for sure by the time I was 13. Mm-hmm. I can't exactly pinpoint it, but for sure by the time I was 13. If not, I think a better gauge of that would probably be close to 11. Mm-hmm. So this has been going on a long time. We only get like a decade of freedom with food before we start getting our heads about all these rules. Oh, yeah. So what we're trying to do is release the shame and the guilt and have some freedom. I mean, just feel free with our relationship with food. But what that also means is not saying you can eat into oblivion whenever you want, because that's not really going to make you happy either. That's that's putting you in a position where you feel yucky, because you don't feel good when you're overfull either. No, that's not a good feeling. So we want to relax into food and enjoy it when we eat it, but also know when we feel that comfortable fullness and not past that point. Because there does come a point. There is a certain point there where it no longer has a good feeling associated with it. And then you can probably all think of a time when you really overate and you just felt absolutely sick and miserable. Oh, yeah. So that's the extreme in the other area. The other thing that it talked about in this chapter was good food versus bad food. And this is so true for me. Like, back in the day, I would, depending upon what I ate that day, I would call it a good day or a bad day. Mm-hmm. And it had everything to do with what I ate that day. Yeah. If you think about how ridiculous that is, isn't that absolutely ridiculous? It is. I was placing how I felt about myself and what kind of person I was based on what I chose for my food that day. Mm-hmm. That to me now that's crazy. But we do that. So we also want to get away from that mindset. I'm a good person no matter what I choose to eat that day, right? I'm here to be kind and to serve others and be giving and loving, and but none of that changes compared to what I eat. And I think if we can let go of putting so much importance on, gee, I ate good today, therefore I was good, or I had a good day. If we took some of that pressure away, I think we would be more likely to have a good day every day and not put so much emphasis on the food. Mm-hmm. So this is what we're trying to figure out in this class. The other last bullet point is really taking a look at using exercise for self-punishment. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if anybody does that in this room, but are you exercising because you feel good when you move, or do you punish yourself if you eat too much? Then you think, well, now I have to run extra today because I overate this, or I don't know. I'm actually grateful that I never really had these type of thoughts. Mm-hmm. I've always liked to work out because I felt strong. Mm-hmm. I just liked the way my body felt. I thought that it was creating strong bones and muscles, and it just helped. The overall thought about how my mood would go would be tied to, I just feel good when I move my body. Mm-hmm. So fortunately, I never really experienced a lot of this. However, I know it exists because I've heard family members and girlfriends talk about this, how they have to run extra, or now I ate this and now I got to go do this. And so just be careful if you're using exercise as a form of self-punishment because you hate the weight on your body and you're trying to get back at it and all that stuff. Okay. So that was kind of a recap of last week. Then we have the members share part, homework for this week. So there were some writing that we could talk about. Did you do any of the exercises, dear? Okay, that's all right. I did not. That's all right. So we are just going to open to page 133. And you know what? Before we get into these exercises, why don't you just share what's been going on in your world for the last couple of weeks? Say something positive that's happened with your relationship with food, and then maybe give us a challenge around this whole journey with getting a better relationship with food. So give us something, maybe a positive and a negative.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start with the negative. I'm just going to tell you what happened to me this week.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you one thing first. So when I was here 2 weeks ago, I really got triggered. I mean, not like in a bad way, but just like when something hits you with a ton of bricks, that kind of thing. When the conversation was, what are you waiting to do until you're thin, or till you lose weight, or till you feel good about yourself? And it was just like, I really got that it's just like everything. What would I do if I didn't have the burden? It was just really like lots to think about. I don't know. Anyway, I might go on vacation. I just would be more confident about meeting people and being with people, and that's just the beginning. So then Monday, I had a lunch and learn at this lender's office. So I went, and I thought, okay, I don't know what food's going to be there, and usually it's a lot of bread and stuff, so I'm going to pack my lunch. So I did, and so I had salad and homemade salad dressing with green onion. It was just my favorite salad. Anyway, so cucumber, all these great vegetables, and then some ham for protein. And so I get there, and there's pizza from one end of the thing to the other, which is my favorite thing, really. Pizza. When you also had us a couple weeks ago, right now, one of our special treats where it was like, I'm going to need more space here. How much time do we have for this?
That's okay.
So, I just love pizza. What can I say? So, I ate what I brought, and then I ate pizza, and then there was cookies, and I ate those too. More than I've had in months, just like, and so I would then it's like, okay, it's Monday. I brought my own lunch and I still ate everything that was there. And I had anxiety about it because there were other agents there, and then.
So you say you had anxiety about it because there were other agents there. What do you mean by that?
Because, I mean, a couple of the agents there, you should have heard their conversation. Well, I could do about 65, 75 deals a year until I just need help. And it's just like, okay, I do a lot of business, but I don't do that kind of business. And I mean, they're just top producers. And then they say, well, I start working at 5 and I get done about 11. I'm going, not willing to do that. So anyway, it was just like, I just noticed this anxiety about being intimidated, or like, I don't know,
about not
inferior,
about not being good enough.
Yeah. And I'm in a group of, I'm one of them, I'm not them, but 5% of agents do the business I do. Or so. So be happy about that. So, but I know, so then I have this coach that I'm working with on a different thing. He says, I talked with him Tuesday. He said, what do you want to talk about? I said, okay, well, I just told him what I told you. And so we started talking about emotional eating. And then I said, okay, I'm going to start noticing the anxiety, or, why am I reaching for the 4th piece of pizza? Hello.
At that point, you're not hungry anymore. At that point, it's emotional eating. You're not hungry anymore.
And you know what? It wasn't even that good. And here's why. Well, first of all, I told you I was sick. I still don't have all my taste buds and smell back. I can't, if it's right in front of my face, I can smell it, but I don't have the sense of smell like I normally do, where someone's smoking within 5 miles. I don't have, and so I really couldn't even taste it that much. And it's still like, so anyway, so the next few days I just thought, then I had a party on Tuesday night. And I thought, okay, we got a whole bunch more top producing realtors here. But you know what? But I didn't put any limits. Like, I'm not going to have any carbs. I'm not going to do this. I just said, I'm just going to have 1 plate. I'm not going to go back for seconds. I'll have a couple, little dessert things, but not go back. And I did that. I just noticed. And I also didn't go in going, where am I going to sit? Oh my gosh, I don't, because I'm by myself. I just thought, I'm among friends. I'll find a place to sit, whether it's people I know or don't know. I don't care, whatever. And so that was kind of just listening and not using food to dull the whatever anxiety there was there. So
how did you feel after that party?
I feel great, because I didn't overeat.
See?
And I didn't go home and go, I hate myself. I did it again. I said I was going to do it. I didn't keep my promise to myself. I let myself down again. But tomorrow I'm going to do, because it's just this loop of, okay, today's the day. I'm going to do this. Okay, great. And then, it falls apart, and then you beat yourself, or I beat myself up, and then, start over the next day. I should send you the email I sent to Jason. And so, you know what he said? Here's what really helped. What he said to me was, this is not, what you're experiencing is not just you. And so it's like, oh, you mean other people struggle with this? No. Hello. Other people struggle with this. You think? And so then he says at some point, it's just, is this the person I want to be? Basically, it came down to making a decision. Like, this, I'm not having, because he's a bodybuilder. But he's struggled with weight too. Coming down to, is this acceptable? Or I just made up my mind I wasn't going to be like this anymore. I'm not going to let food control, or whatever it was. So so I did really well for a few days, and then last night I didn't do so well. But you know what? I didn't go, basically just quit being a victim about it and go, well, I guess there's nothing I can do. Well, you're successful in other areas of your life. You do stuff that other people can't do, or like other people struggling with alcohol. That's what we talked about. It's like alcohol. It's like, but with alcohol, that's easy. Just don't drink. See, for me,
well, alcohol.
It's not my drug of choice.
Yeah.
I don't care about it. Yes, I'll have a little here and there, but it's not a big deal. But you can't stop eating.
That's why I don't know if you've ever heard some people think they have a food addictions, and there's like food addictions anonymous, or I don't know. There are actually
Overeaters Anonymous.
Overeaters Anonymous. Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem with that is food is essential to life.
You gotta eat.
So I disagree that you are addicted to food. Food is essential for life.
Yeah.
All those other things that are addictive, like cocaine or
cigarettes, alcohol, you can live without all those. To me, it's so easy just to say, I'm not going to have alcohol, but you can't say you're not going to have food.
No. So I don't think it's probably justified to say that you have a food addiction, because it's essential to life. So we have to we don't want to label ourselves as having any of those problems, because that's, again, messing up our psyche. Right. So we don't want to have any of those thoughts.
Yeah.
So I heard you had some bad and some good in there in your story.
Yeah.
And that was just your learning experience. That's what you needed to go through maybe one more time to get it. And maybe that wasn't the last time. Maybe you're going to have to go through it another time. I mean, I don't know, but
that's what was great about it, rather than feeling like a failure all the time, going, oh yeah, last night I sort of shouldn't, I may have had too much of that, or I shouldn't have bought that Chex Mix because I ate it, but I won't buy it again. If you don't have it in the house, you're not going to eat it. So and also I did some shopping, and it's like, oh, there's some turtles, and oh, look at those. And I didn't buy any of them. I'm so happy. And for my family with their stockings, like I told you, I didn't get married with any food. I got Sophia like one little thing of M&Ms. I mean, it's not food related. So rather than feeling defeated and a failure and kind of like going up the incline and saying, well, I didn't make it all the way, so I'm never going to try, or I got to go back and start over. It was just like, okay, well, I'm starting where I am. And I had that little breakdown, but we're just moving forward now, rather than just, I tried and failed, so forget it.
So do you think the way that you set yourself up to win the second time around on the Tuesday evening, what if you went into every type of social event feeling that way? I'm going to eat with everybody else. I'm not going to have any rules about can't have carbs, can't have this, can't. Because one of the things that you may have set yourself up for the first time is that, I'm only going to have salad because I can't have any carbs. I can't.
I had some protein there too, but it wasn't. I get what you're saying now. Yeah.
But it's possible if you just opened up your world to, I can eat whatever they're serving, but I know how much my body needs to feel that comfortable fullness, and just trust that if you give it permission on a regular basis, it's not going to be this, I better eat it now because I start tomorrow. I better have the Last Supper. I don't know when I'm going to get pizza again. I better just really.
I know, that doesn't seem to work, is that I'm never going to be able to have this again.
It doesn't work for most people.
I don't need to have 4 pieces. I could have like one and then not have the bread for the next one. You know what I mean? Just have the top, because I didn't eat all the bread. I mean, because that's not the good part. So I probably had 2 pieces of I probably had the bread on 2 of them, and then the other. So this was not that that matters. Anyway, the whole point was noticing why I did what I did.
And I think you're almost there, Lisa. I think that experience was huge.
Oh my gosh, it was just
huge.
It really
because
was.
if you can set yourself up like you did for the second party, look how successful that was. You said, I'm going to have 1 plate of whatever I want.
I was satisfied. And the plate, let me tell you, the plates were like this big. They weren't plates. They were little, have a little, couple of meatballs, couple of shrimp.
And then when you have that, here's the other thing that I want to bring to your attention. We talked about it last week. What often happens to people who are still kind of stuck in this relationship with food that isn't quite working is on Tuesday, sometimes what our brain tells us is, if there were things on there that you don't normally eat, if you perceive that you ate something you shouldn't have eaten that goes against your rules, or if you perceive you ate too much, it's really strange. But then it's like there's a switch that flips that says, well, I ruined it now. I might as well just start tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
I'm just,
we have got to break that pattern.
Yeah.
Just because you ate something that you don't normally eat, it's in your book, or just because you think that you ate maybe a little bit more than you normally would, that doesn't mean you have to check out and think you have your last supper meal like you're just eating and eating because start tomorrow. There's no more starting tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
Breaking the mentality of I'm going to be good tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, you see that just doesn't serve.
It doesn't work either.
No. So I think where that was so powerful is I can have whatever I want. I am feeling, I know I can trust my body to eat to this level of comfort, and I am going to feel good. And it doesn't matter if there are things on my plate that I don't normally eat.
Yeah.
Eating is also just such a social experience that I got that on the second time you made it a fun social event. It wasn't about can't eat this, and it wasn't you felt good afterwards.
Oh yeah. And I wasn't even the first one out the door. I mean, I got to sit with all these Keller Williams agents who are nice ladies who, if I was with Keller, I mean, I would be in that group, but I'm not, which is okay. But I mean, it was just, nice folks, and it was great. And I just looked around and kind of noticed everybody, and rather than people are looking at what you're eating and oh my gosh.
And
it's great.
How much do you think, see, that's another thing you said, looking around at who's eating what and how much people are eating.
Oh, yeah.
So that's when you also know that you have a little bit of a distorted relationship with food, because really, if you felt like you trusted your relationship with food, you wouldn't care what you were, you would just trust that your body knows what to eat and how much to eat, and it really wouldn't matter if somebody was looking at your plate thinking, ooh, that's a lot, or ooh, that's a little, or ooh, look at her choices. That's their problem with their relationship with food, not yours, right? So it's another thing to think of if you catch yourself trying to sum up or judge somebody for what they have on their plate. Just notice it. There's no beating up. But you're noticing, wow, I'm judging this person for either how much they have on their plate or what's on their plate. And just notice it and try to let it go. Just thinking, okay, well.
Exactly. Notice it. Oh, interesting. Let it go. Not have it control everything or be so significant.
Mm-hmm. And I think that the less energy, maybe at some point when you feel really secure and trusting in your body, a lot of that judgment will go away. It's just that, I'm going to include myself in it. We have been locked into this whole distorted relationship with food for so long that it just kind of like has some very strange things that come along with it. And that's one of them, like looking around at other people, what they're eating. And
Well, another thing too is when it's free food, it's, you didn't buy it, you didn't make it, it's not at home. It's, oh, that pizza, look at that. I mean, it's just like, you want to overdo it because it's free, which I don't know, that's maybe not just me that is like that. But
no, that's not.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, Lisa, I think you're the only one in the whole world that has thoughts about that. Yes, that it's free.
I mean, it's free, so I gotta, it's,
Of course people have those thoughts. That's, again, let's break that pattern, because that's not a good pattern.
Who cares if it's free? It doesn't matter.
That's right.
It's food no matter what.
It goes back to this. Am I hungry?
Yes.
Am I hungry? Let me check. Okay, where am I? And you check that number. If it's between the 3 and the 7 or whatever you've deemed to be a good safe zone for you, if you're hungry, should you eat? Yes, you should, right?
Yes.
And then you eat to stay in that zone where you feel good. And even if it's free, you stay in the zone.
Who cares?
It does not.
It's like thinking about it being free is like it's like lack. I mean, I just think it's really ironic in our society that 100 and 200 years ago, it's like, do you have enough food? Because people starve. And now it's like in my work, food is everywhere. I mean, you go to the office, there's food. Wednesday mornings, we have our office meeting. Sometime once a month it's here. We're having donuts. Oh, how great is that? But you know what I do sometimes? I just go look and go, oh, that looks interesting. No, which I'm very good at in the morning. I'm very good at just saying, I don't know. Plus, donuts are not my drug of choice. I don't love donuts. I mean, I like them, but they're not. But sometimes
And it's good to know your, as you phrased it, drug of choice, because I can also, there's things I can pass and I don't feel deprived. I don't feel.
I could not care less about jelly. I see my mom too. My mom trained her to eat the ones that my mother didn't like. So she likes the white ones and the pink ones and all the ones my mom was like, here, have this one.
Oh gosh.
So that's her thing is jelly beans, and that's toffee.
Is that your thing?
Besides potato chips and crunchy stuff. So I went to there's a lady that goes to my church and she's in assisted living now. So yesterday I went and visited my old people. She was one of them. And she's a chef. She's British. So she's got toffee around and peanut brittle. And I go in there and Reese's, I'm going, Vera, what are we going to do? So, but I had one little tiny piece of toffee and then a couple little bites of peanut brittle rather than, oh, I'm taking this with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt pretty good about that. You know, it wasn't deprived. You can't have that, oh my gosh. It's just a little bite.
And see what I think, if you can always go in, the problem that we set up for ourselves is we think that if we are trying to lose weight or we need to be good, and the problem with that is there goes the deprivation. You've got the mentality that if I don't have it now, I don't know when the next time it is that I'm going to get it. Yeah. So it causes overeating and binge eating. I definitely do that. Yeah. So if you can give yourself permission, I can have that whenever I want. It's not going to be the last time I'm ever going to get it. You don't have to feel like you have to overeat or stuff yourself because you're not going to get it again for another month or two. Right. So I think that one of the principles that we've talked about recently, where you give yourself one treat every day, and this is something that you feel a little bit out of control with, but if you allow yourself to have a little bit every day, the deprivation should wear off, because they call that habituation, where is if you have something with frequency, there comes a time when you get a little bit bored of it. It no longer has the pull that it did at one time. And that's pretty much anything. Yeah. So did you try that with the potato chips? You were going to try to have some potato chips every day.
Well, I don't know if I ate, because that's been a couple of weeks ago. So I haven't overdone it with them, oh, here's a 20-ounce bag. But I went to Walmart yesterday because I forgot why. I needed to get a gift card for somebody. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to try something. So I got the ones where you have these one little servings, like you put in kids' lunch boxes. And I thought, I'm just going to get some of those to have around. And my rule is no more than one a day. But that's just enough to satisfy me, but not, eat a whole 6-serving bag. And I may not have one every day, but I have them just like to have.
I wonder What I think would speak to you, because even if you've got these little potato chips, you're still kind of limiting yourself. Like, I could only have one a day.
Right.
So what if, when I was on my ice cream journey, because my ice cream was my trigger food that I thought I will never be able to have ice cream in the house without like overeating on it.
Right.